So this is Songspires. We're going to be looking at a few different features, I guess, of Roblox. The main one is viewport frame. I want to play with that a bit, and we'll see how we go. So what I want to do is put in a kind of hunt mode. Oh, okay. Let's shift over to Songspires, because I'm going to get put into there by accident anyway. So the Songspires channel is where I'll be in Discord. Oh, I guess I'll have to start sharing again. You think I would learn? Okay, thanks everyone for being patient with my incompetence. Hopefully you can see again the stream of Roblox Studio. Yep, okay. So this is Songspires. I'm going to be live coding a hunt mode where it will show you a configuration of several nearby spires. These are spires or trees. You can see here that this configuration is for the moment unique. There's no other such configuration. And specifying such a configuration via a viewport frame, which is a 2D GUI element that allows you to put 3D objects inside it, will tell the player a challenge location that they then have to find, and then you get points, I suppose, for finding it. We can discuss what the actual gameplay mechanic is. Okay, so here goes. I'll just not beat around the bush about this. Okay, so I'm going to add a GUI element to activate the viewport frame. So, I don't know, hunt GUI. So this will contain a button, which will be the thing you click on to get the view of the viewport frame. Means to find. Okay, I'll just position that. Dragging does work at the moment, yeah.
What does that say?
To find.
Oh, cool.
If I knew how to access a neat icon for it, I would, but iconographic languages are good for making icons. I guess that'll be fine. In case you haven't done 2D GUI stuff with Roblox, maybe I'll point out the way these numbers work. Maybe it's very small, but there's 4 numbers here in the position field for this 2D GUI element. The first pair of numbers is for the X coordinate of the position of this box here, and the second pair is for the Y coordinate. The first number within the X pair gives you a relative coordinate. So if I put 0.5 here, I'm still in Chinese mode. That might not work out so well. This is halfway across the screen plus 5. Okay, these two things are additive, so this would be literally halfway. I don't want it to be relative for the X coordinate. I just want it to be 5 pixels from the left. The Y coordinate I want to be halfway. Okay, that'll be fine. And since I have to be a cool kid like Billy, I'll put UI corners on everything. So here's the viewport frame.
I was just about to recommend it.
Yeah, I thought you might be. Okay. So this is what's going to actually show the spire. I'll give it a bit of a transparent background. I should also UI corner that, I suppose. Okay, I'll position it next to the button. So that suggests something like 10 and also 0.5. So that's the top left is at 0.5, but I want it to be evenly spaced around this button, so I'll pick its size, which let's say 500 by 500, and then just move it up by 250, so it's centered. Maybe that's a bit big. I want it to be something you can check while you're running around, so you maybe don't want it up the whole time, although you could choose to do that. Oh, I guess that button actually has the same problem, right? Minus 25. Okay, that's 50 wide, so I suppose I should put this at 55 or something. Oh, no. Okay. So far so good. So I want a local script that's going to actually connect those two things together. That's why that's not working. Okay, so I want a function that's going to populate. It's going to look into the world, find a spire, and then show a representation of that spire inside this frame here. So maybe I'm going to start it, not activate it. And first of all, make it visible. Good. Okay, so I'm going to call this to actually put something into the viewport frame. So any part who is, I think, any descendant of the viewport frame will be rendered. Certainly it works for things in a folder. I'm not sure whether it's an arbitrary descendant or not. So I'm going to take some spires from the world, make copies and put them in here, and then they'll show up inside this frame. And I have to specify the camera from which those parts will be rendered. So this function here is going to look into the world and find the spires. The spires are all tagged. Songspire, I think, without an S, we'll see. Okay, if there's no spires, then we're not going to do anything. Otherwise, so we're going to clear out this folder of spires. Viewport spires. Well, let's just clear it. So every time this is run, it'll just clear all the spires we're currently rendering. Well, I mean, in a moment, to actually get the gameplay, we'll decide on some spire to render here. But for the moment, let's just do it this way. All right. So we'll just render the first one, I guess. So local spires 1. Clone. Spire parent. Viewport spires. Okay, so now I should check the doc for this viewport frame. Probably you can't see the window I'm looking at right now. I'm just checking the documentation. I think I just have to make a camera and parent it to the viewport frame and set the current camera. Yeah, and then it should be all good. Okay. So I'm make a camera.
What are the properties of the viewport frame in the Explorer?
Oh yeah, good. There's some lighting settings. I don't know what that's about. Those
Current
are,
camera.
yeah, current camera. The others are fairly standard, I guess. Is it just C-frame? I think so. Okay, I'm going to make it look from above the spire. So, so a spire is a model. It contains a branch. That's the sort of first trunk. And the X part is the length. So let's try looking at it from above. So when I clone it, it has the same position in the world. So the sort of coordinate system within the viewport frame for the moment is the same as the world itself. So I need to move the camera to where that spire is. So let's put it at the seed, which is the base of the spire, and move the camera up. And make it look back down at the spire itself. So this C-frame new is look from and look to.
Then you want some like horizontal offset, so you're literally like looking at it top down.
Yeah, well, we can try that. Let's see if this works first of all. No doubt there's some issue with that. Alright. Oh, there we go.
Cool. Let's try.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool actually. Let me wait for another one to get rendered because it may switch to a different spire once there's more than one.
Yeah, how does collection service work?
Yeah, I know you were asking about the order of children, right? So, yeah, I don't know if the order that it's returned by that.
It's not necessarily the children of any instance. It's whatever get tagged returns.
That's right. Yeah. So you're asking, does that have any kind of? Seems to be returning the same thing. Okay. Yeah, I could show what it looks like if I move it off.
But you're only doing. When are you calling populate viewport?
Just once at the down here.
Right, so it's not every time you click on it.
That's right. Oh, that's yeah. Good point.
So that's why.
That's why it's not changing.
I mean, that could have been one.
Oh, did something strange. Branch. Did I click it too early?
Via.branch is what it's complaining about.
Yeah, I know, but don't understand. don't see how that could have made a difference.
Wait, when does the first spire get added?
It's possible it
Because
does.
like we just 2-click to press the button the first 2 times,
Well,
and there was no spires.
The second time I looked for the spire and then saw it. So I just wonder. No, they all get the tag. Not. I don't know. It's kind of strange.
Well, it wouldn't affect it if something didn't get the tag. It's about something tagged that shouldn't be a spire.
Alright. Okay, so I'm going to try rendering a group of them that are close to a given spire. So it's going to maybe pick a random one. Excuse the chicken.
Chicken is welcome.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to look through all the spires. Look for those whose distance from given one is, I don't know, less than 30. Clone it. And put it in the viewport.
Oh, that's going to throw an error.
Oh yeah? Spotted that?
Yeah, line 16. You want spire.primaryPart.position.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Okay, let's wait for some more. Might I'll speed it up a bit. Oh, give me a break. Which I think looking at it from the top is kind of interesting, right? I think it's kind of nice.
Makes it like, yeah, like you wouldn't want it like from the player view or something, because then it's just like look around for exactly what you see. But it's a bit more of an interesting challenge to identify what you're seeing from the low angle.
Why is that? How did I get rid of that call? Yeah, I did. Gave me an error before, but we'll see. Maybe I'm calling clear all children in an awkward spot or something. Yeah. Oh, these things, if I clone things, do they still have the tag?
Yes.
Huh. Okay. That shouldn't. So this is including the things that are being deleted there. So maybe I will. That's going to be a problem for later anyway. So I'm going to clone them and then remove tag v because I don't want other parts of the code to be looking at the.
You want to remove it from clone, not v.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
The big one.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Okay. Let's wait for a few more.
What was the distance you said?
30. So let's see, I think that it's like radius, I think that size is, the diameter of that is like 70 or something. Yeah. Well, it's about 50. Okay. Well, that's a good challenge. Maybe all of them within 30 is complicated. Maybe it should just be 3 or 4. That seems not so useful. Yeah, no problem. I can find that.
Is the game gonna be like? Wait, does it look like this because the timescale is insane, or should that not affect anything?
Does it look like when I clicked on the button? No, that's got nothing to do with it.
Like when you adjust the timescale.
Yeah.
Are you literally just fast forwarding, or could does some stuff happen in real time and not get affected by timescale?
That just affects the delays. So the delay for fruit to fall, the delay for fruit to turn into a spire, and the delay for a spire to fall over.
Right. So it can have an effect on like how crowded things are.
That's exactly.
Like it's not just like the same thing happens but earlier.
The crowdedness will be more or less the same, even if that wasn't turned on. Okay, well, let's worry about that in a moment. So I want to make it so the server picks a spire, maybe gives it an additional tag, and that's the one we're going to display here. I mean, we want to know that it's actually accessible, but we can worry about that in a moment.
You should like remember that spire, right? Because you're gonna want to untag it later.
Well, I can just get the one that's tagged.
Right. Supposed to.
One problem I'm worried about is the spire could fall over or something, right? So I might want to check to see if any of these things that affect the spire are going to happen. or the ones that are being displayed alongside it as the things to hunt. If they are about to fall over, then they shouldn't.
Can you make the one that you're hunting never fall over until you find it?
Yeah, I could do that. I guess I want to put this tag on not just the single spire, but the small group that I'm about to hunt, right? So maybe the 3 closest ones, or something along those lines. So I don't want to order them all by distance. Could do that. Well, I'll just pick 3 that are within distance. Let's see, I don't know, maybe 30 is reasonable. So if this distance is 50 across this thing here, 3 spires within this distance. I mean, it's kind of a bit misleading if there's many spires there to give you just 3 random ones. It's not that distinctive visually if there's many other ones, right? Especially if you pick 3 short ones and there are several taller ones. Well, we can worry about that later, I guess. Okay.
In this game, are you going to make it so that you win by finding any of these spires tagged with hunt, or is there like the middle one you're supposed to find?
Well, they're all within some distance. Maybe when the timer is up, if you're within some distance of the one I just checked. Oh, you're saying that, yeah. Within 30 of one of them marked with hunt is not the same. Maybe if you're within some distance of any of them marked with hunt. I don't know.
I thought it would be cool that you have to like touch them or something, like jump on them.
Touching them would be good. Yeah.
And they like explode or something, or they just fall.
I could, yeah, why not? So I might as well do it here, I guess. So V primary, or V branch, that's the thing you want to touch.
This is on the server, right?
Yeah.
All right, it does give you the player.
Yeah. Should just work on. I want to disconnect that later. When I if I don't remember this connection, I don't know how to disconnect it, but I don't particularly want to build the data structure for it.
Can you make that connection on the client side?
Oh yeah, that makes sense. And then fire an event.
Yeah. So you can collection service. You can add a signal for when this hunt tag gets added to something. You just connect it to your GUI and whatnot.
Okay, so I want to make sure I actually call this.
You should play the sound that Ethan just sent in the MediUni channel.
What's that? Okay. It won't be in the recording. Oh yeah, it is. It should be. Let's have a look.
That's the sound that used to play when you earned a badge in a game.
Okay, I'm playing it. So cheesy. That's great. Yeah, let's do that.
We didn't hear it, but it might be in the recording.
It's in the recording, yeah. Okay, so now I've got the hunted ones. I don't need to do this check anymore. I just clone them all. Okay, and you wanted me to do something with collection service, so what was that?
Yeah, so collection service dot added signal. Like scroll down there.
Child added? No.
No, this will be like tag added or something. Get the docs.
Yeah.
Get instance added signal. And then you give it a string.
What?
Get instance added signal.
Oh, I see. Okay, so I put in the tag here, and then I do connect or something. Is that right?
Yeah, connect.
Yeah, okay. And what's that going to give me? The item that it was added to, perhaps?
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, the object, yep.
Yeah, okay. Alright, and what am I going to do with that? I'm going to add it into the viewport, I guess. Right? And then remove it here. I guess there's a removed signal.
Yeah, I think this populate viewport function should just be a matter of showing the spires that you like you're maintaining the list of spires separately or something, and then
yeah.
I think a lot of this populate viewport stuff will just get migrated into doing it one by one per spire.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think I'm happy to put it in here. The thing I'm worried about is what? Grabbing it, actually finding it within the viewport spires folder when I'm just given the object. Because this is the spire in the world, and then I'm making a clone of it. But then when I want to remove it, I've just got the original. And I could just check the position of the seed or something. I don't want to change their names. How am I going
Wait,
to...
is there a main one and the outer ones?
Well, this, when I add this hunt tag to these, yeah, they're different objects. So when I get this will be a tag on the real thing. And then what I'm going to do following that logic is make a clone and put it in
All right. You can add the.
I'd kind of like to, sorry to interrupt, I'd kind of like to remove all tags on this cloned thing. Because I don't want to forget about this later and add some tags and then use collection service and end up with these viewport things in my collection.
You should do get instance remove signal inside this function that you're writing. So that, because you have the clone.
Oh man.
So
yeah. I don't want to do this. Why? This was not a good idea.
Because
nah.
I mean, because get instance remove only makes sense in the context of like once you have the thing, right?
Nah, I don't want to be worrying about that. Let's just do it this way. So I'm gonna add the tag here. I'm gonna get all the things tagged here. So this is every time you click on it, but that's fine. It's gonna clone them, remove both of the tags because fine. And then it's gonna put it there, fine. All right. And then, okay, you want me to, so we want this, oh, the touched event was already connected, right? Yeah, so I have to worry about was it? No.
No, we were going to connect it in the local script.
Yeah.
So for each of these spires, you connect this event to them.
Why do I want to do that in a local script? Then I have to fire an event to tell the server. Why not just do it here? I don't see the reason. I think it's fine to do it here. About disconnecting it, but okay, let's see. So this should do something after 30 seconds. Hopefully this, well, it probably won't be another spire by then, but that's okay. So at the moment there should be nothing. Yeah. Alright. Okay, that looks like it's got 2 branches coming out, so not that one, must be that one. If I do this, shouldn't change. And whoa, what? Oh yeah, that's right. It actually just tells me the part that touched it. Okay, so that problem is also here in the zone script, so I'll just steal that. Touch connect function hit.
Get player from character, right?
Yeah, that's right. Let's just stick with that. And bounce, I guess. Maybe. Blah 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 blah. I need players. This is junk. Where is my sound effect as a file?
Oh yeah, I was looking for it.
YouTube link.
Can you use that
I could
chicken?
The chicken? The chicken behind me. Yeah, I'd have to pause the recording to grab the audio for the chicken, but we could do that. Hunt started. Okay.
Oh wait, what if like the hunted spire like plays a sound like the chicken, so you can like find it when you're near it.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, that sounds so good.
You're just like hunting around and you just hear this like.
All right, I'll record some chickens. Okay, that's good. Now we need to do something when somebody wins.
Ethan put the actual. I think you found the sound.
Oh, great.
It's close enough. It's like a small bit at the end gets cut off. It's the only one I could find.
Okay, just need this ID. All right, so everybody should hear it, or just the person who touched it. Just the person who, well, everybody should hear something. Well, I don't know. I do think that maybe some people want to be hunting spires and other people just want to enjoy the view and don't want to be bothered by some random audio.
Yeah.
Another question is maybe you want to...
Have it opt in so that it only appears when the viewport. It only plays when the viewport is enabled.
Yeah, but you might want to be hunting the spire without the viewport on. Yeah, but I agree. You do want to sort of have a way of opting into the challenge, and then maybe later you're not interested.
When you win and find the tree, maybe all the fruits of the tree can be replaced by your head, and then when they fall, they germinate and they turn into more trees with your head on, and it's kind of its own population.
Wow. That's the most egocentric thing I've ever heard. Yeah.
What's the problem with the sound playing for just the player who found it?
I think that'll do to start with, yeah. And then we can worry about what happens to everybody. I mean, I guess maybe the hunts aren't continuous. I mean, a question is maybe this interface just appears only when a hunt is active and disappears otherwise. In which case, the interface disappearing is an indication you lost. Maybe it doesn't have to be that big a deal. Okay.
Yeah, just it kind of tweens to the side and shakes about something.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I always forget. Sorry. Yep.
Can you do like a /hunt command? I did like chat commands quite a while ago, and I forget how easy it is.
What would that do?
Like you just type /hunt in the chat, and that brings up the viewport interface and starts a hunt.
Yep. Okay.
They'll need to check if it's accessible. It's going to be
Yeah,
Tough.
that's going to be interesting. I did think of something, which is observing the way the camera works. Maybe you can just try drawing a line from the spire to like through other spires, and then see if you can in that way reach a spire that goes straight up to the sky or something. I mean, if you can raycast from the spire, like the midpoint of its branch, by 5 steps to something that can raycast straight up and not see any terrain, maybe that's a kind of reasonable proxy or something along those lines. I think it's not necessary to do something super complicated, but
What about like spires like with terrain above them, but you can still access them?
sorry.
What about spires with terrain above them, but you can still access them?
Yeah, that's why I had this. I thought, raycast 5 hops or so. So at least, I mean, maybe.
But then you might have inaccessible spires that like have 5 sorts of cave above them.
Yeah. Well, the proportion of, most spires are accessible in practice, it seems. There are some that spawn in tight spaces inside mountains and so on, but they're relatively rare, and the majority of those, if you raycast, maybe you could like raycast in some number of directions on the sphere, and if there's a proportion of them that hit terrain, you give up or something.
What if you use the Pathfinding API and you tried to see if there's a valid path to it?
Oh my god.
Oh,
It's genius.
There's a Pathfinding API. I did not know that.
Does that account for like jumping?
Yeah.
Huh.
What about like climbing up a deep surface?
Pathfinding
By jumping.
service. Amazing. Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I don't know about climbing, Billy. I've actually never used it myself.
I think it's possible. I think it handles climbing.
Because you could have it like use the pathfinding, but also maybe in some cases if there's no path but there's like no terrain above the tree, maybe you still make that a valid hunted spire. Do you ever have a lot of cases of? I remember the last time we did this event, there was a sort of upper shelf that we couldn't access. Does that seem to happen much, or did you sort of make it not do that?
Yeah, it doesn't build like that anymore. So that's pretty rare. Yeah.
Yeah, so you could do a valid candidate for being a hunted spire is one which either has no terrain above it or has a valid path to it with the pathfinding API.
From where?
Good point. Oh, well, from every player.
From every player.
Or at least one of them? I don't know. Maybe every player.
I don't know how heavy this pathfinding thing is. Presumably they have to give it some timeout or something. I don't know. It can't just be... It can't try for 20 minutes.
Alright, I think we're gonna head to bed, but
Yeah.
thanks for the
Catch you later.
see ya.
See you, Ben.
See ya.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it's a natural place to stop anyway in a minute. Okay, so I'll use the Pathfinding API. Maybe, well, if you can full, maybe make it from the start platform, because people can always reset their character, so anybody can teleport to the start platform. It's always, it's shifted, so it's always above the terrain. And then to do the pathfinding service from there, and with some reasonable timeout, and that's what counts. Alright. Okay, so maybe I'll just make it so that once this happens, it shifts to a new hunt. So start hunt should happen again, so that should first disable. Well, I should have an end hunt. It should remove all the tags. Redundant to have multiple events, but whatever. The perennial question of programming: when to have distinct functions and when to have functions with parameters. I guess we can just make this viewport button visible only when the hunt is on. What? Alright, so hopefully this should show up. Yeah. Okay. this. Still not dealing with the possibility that the spire falls over. Figured out a clearer table.
Table.clear.
Yeah.
Oh, no, like the word table.clear.
Oh,
And path.
right, yeah, that, of course. Okay. I never quite know how to deal with sounds that come from events like this. I mean, I can make the sound and then just play it when the event happens. That seems to be the good thing to do. Otherwise, I'm making it and then maybe waiting a little bit and then playing it. But I never quite feel as if I know the right way to do it.
Like creating one sound versus creating the sound for each hunt.
Yeah. Okay. That seems to work. Right, so I mean, this is, I guess, what I would usually do. So you found the spire, so local. How do I do this from an ID? Usually I just make this in the interface and then clone it.
Oh yeah, there's a special way to give it an ID. For the string, it would be rbx asset ID : / and then you give it the ID.
Right. So I just what do I put here though to load it?
Oh, the property, is it sound ID?
Right. Yep.
Asset ID.
What?
Yeah, sorry. rbx asset ID : /
Okay, right. And then just the number?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's various formats where they mean different things, but yeah, that should work.
Okay.
I think I'll find the wiki page on that.
Okay, the thing I'm not sure about is, so this like sum is loaded or something like that. I mean, I can just play it, but that might be alright. bit pointless making this.
Oh no.
Come back. I didn't hear anything.
Do you parent the sound?
Oh, yeah, of course, yes.
Oh, I think, wouldn't you have to parent it to an object? Does that work if you parent it to workspace?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. That's what I usually do.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Probably not very smart. Okay. Yay. I heard
Oh,
it.
did you hear that?
I did, yeah. Alright. What else do we need? Okay, let's have a score system. Okay, I always forget I have to parent some very particular named thing somewhere. Like a leaderboard or leader stat or something.
Oh, I always forget this. They really need to just make a service for this, but this is so legacy. I mean, this has existed since like 2008.
Yeah, okay, I see. Alright. So... put it somewhere, I don't care. I'm just gonna steal it from the dock because I don't care. I don't have players here. Alright, seems okay. And then I need to add something into that. Right. Okay. And then I just need to increase that by 1. Okay. But that needs to happen in a script, not a local script, right? So... I think that should work. Let's try. Alright, sweet. Okay, now I should worry about making sure the spires don't fall over, I guess, but I do want them to fall over eventually, so maybe I just delay it. So if something tagged with hunt is going to fall over, well, I guess I should decide how long the hunt's going to last and so on, right? I mean, we don't want it... Okay, so let's schedule the end of the hunt for 15 minutes. And... okay. Of course, it could be accessible when the hunt starts, but then become inaccessible, right? Don't want to worry about that right now, but... if collection service has tag spire hunt. I don't want to just return, I want to schedule it for later, but well, for now I'm just going to make it 15 minutes later, or however long the hunt is. Testing purposes. So once the hunt has ended, can you choose to hide this leaderboard thing?
I don't think so.
Because maybe if you just want to watch the spires, you don't want the you don't want to care about these numbers. But
Oh, you probably have to fork the code.
oh yeah, if you're in cinematic camera, then you can. Yeah, I guess maybe I'll add in something where you can hide that. Okay, the hunt should start again shortly. I don't know. It could be either of them. Alright, seems nearly ready for a live test. Is there anything else I should do before we push it to the live server? I mean, this timeout is going to be too short for more serious play later, but at the very beginning, maybe having, what did I make it, 3 minutes? 1 minute in between seems not too bad.
Sorry, I ducked away for a second. Do you have a way of starting and ending a hunt?
Yep, there's events that go off now. Seems to be working. I've got the point scoring system, the hunts, okay.
Right, wait, but when do those events get triggered?
There's just some delays. Yay.
Could you maybe like change the angle of the camera in the viewport frame so the trees are like, the colors of the trees are easier to see?
The colors.
Because it's pretty dark.
I could change the lighting. I'm not sure the angle will help much. If I change the angle to be more side on, you'll just see the branch, you see, which will, I mean, I guess that might help. But
Oh, I meant the lighting angle.
yeah, I think that fixing the lighting is a good idea. But this seems to work okay, right? Okay. I'll have to look at the docs for that. Oh, I guess I could look at the properties. Light color, ambient, light direction. I don't know what that means. So like from the same position you're looking at it, I guess, might make sense. Basically it just needs to be lighter, I think. Lighting hue, light color, light direction. Oh, so it's the direction from 0, 0, 0. So the light's pointing straight down and the tree is pointing up. Okay, so if I just change that to like 0, 1, 0. Oh, well. Okay, maybe it's that the trees are very far from the origin and the only light is at the origin or something. I don't actually know what coordinate system that... Does seem better, I guess. Could move them to the origin.
I don't think it means like the light is coming from the origin of the world. I think it's just kind of a weird way they've written it. I think
could I just add
light
a
direction.
light? Could I just add a point light into the viewport frame?
Oh, I don't know if that works actually. I'm not sure if lights are supported.
Yeah, I'll try. Seems to do much. Could just be less high. Yeah, I think that light didn't do anything. Just try making this brighter. Oh, I could reduce the transparency on the copied parts. That'd probably help. Oh. I guess I kind of want this to include all the nearby parts. So,
you could go into the viewport frame while this is running, like make edits to it, see what makes it look better.
Yeah, I don't know how to change its C frame from what I'm doing.
You could just run a command.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Somebody has a module that will fit a model to a viewport frame.
Oh, that'd be useful. I find it pretty suspicious that part fell over immediately. That I thought that... Anyway, maybe the code is working. Okay, I think I'd like to just get something and then let's go test it and then we can stop, but do want the size of the view of this viewport frame to be something kind of semi-reasonable. I'll obviously tweak this between now and next week, but oh, that's kind of cool. I think that's good. Yellow. Should this thing be a bit smaller? Maybe if I didn't have this, it wouldn't bother me. Purple, yellow. Okay, maybe I do need to check the accessibility. Maybe it's that one. Yeah, I reckon it's this one. No. Yoo-hoo! Okay. Alright, maybe let's quickly do the pathfinding thing. So I'm going to look at the Pathfinding API. Pathfinding service. It generates a navigation mesh over all parts in a place while the game is running. Any path that is created with the service will stay within the mesh. If the geometry of the place changes, for example, a part is created or a part is moved, the navigation mesh is being recalculated. I'm pretty terrified of what's going to happen to this with the terrain constantly changing. Yeah. Well, I guess it's probably doing this recalculation anyway. The service has one function, create path, which creates a path object based on various parameters. Okay. Alright, let's try. Okay, so we'll just make the central spire while accessible. Okay, what do these things do? Agent radius. Useful for determining the minimum separation from obstacles. Okay. It says 2 is the default agent height. Empty space smaller than this value, like the space under stairs, will be marked as non-traversable. Default 5, okay. Agent can jump, true. Costs. Costs for traversal. Useful for making the agent prefer certain materials regions over others. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. going to take it from, as I said, the spawn location. To Spire primary path. Whoa. The whole thing just froze. Okay, that was bad. Why?
Was that from the pathfinding?
Yeah. Nothing about this seemed particularly insane. Okay, well, it seems pretty scary if it's that slow right now. I'll try one more time, but I think this... Whoa, yeah.
Oh!
Oh, it's trying... No, it's just the while loop. It's trying the pathfinding many times. Why? Okay, you can stop now. Okay, stop. Why is this so much more out of control with the print command in there? Timeout already. Please. Okay, thank you. Okay. It was failing to find a path.
You didn't increment num tries.
Oh. Yeah, thank you.
Don't worry, I did that. I did that.
Okay. Can I tell why it didn't succeed?
Oh, well, your P call's not returning anything. No, that's fine, that's fine.
So maybe... Maybe I should do branch. The other one's sort of in the ground. I don't know what counts as... Okay. Whoa. Okay. You only had to do it 20 times.
You should probably subtract 1 from num tries instead of incrementing it.
Oh, thank you. Oh, embarrassing. Okay. Thank you very much.
Maybe that's my fault. I was only half paying attention just to show you did.
I assumed I wasn't an idiot, yeah. Okay. That doesn't really fix the problem, though. Well, okay. Let's do something easier.
Is there any reason why, like, so if path.status
Is the problem the P call is failing, or is it that there's no path?
What? Yeah, okay, could be either. That's right.
Is there example code for using that pathfinding?
Save success.
Yeah, there's a sample on the dev and on the dev hub.
Well, that's what I'm copying this from.
Oh, okay. They don't use pcall though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if you need it.
Okay.
No, they do.
Maybe we're looking at different articles then.
Are you looking at character pathfinding?
I'm looking at just the compute async article.
Is there any issue with like the fact that the platform's up in the air?
Yeah, but I mean, if you can jump, surely you can find a path from up in the air, but
Maybe like after a certain like distance to fall, it like
yeah.
doesn't check beyond that. So like to test it,
But at the moment, I'm going from the spire to itself. Let's do something even easier. Well, that's actually underground. Okay, I don't think I can make it easier than that.
do the spawn plus a vector.
Yeah, spawn location. Yeah. The Pickle succeeding, it just gets no path.
Wait, maybe make it just take off the additional vector from. And can you make it like plus in the X direction? So it's like just walking.
And you just want these two things to be different.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Yay.
Okay, so I shouldn't put... So let's try with the... yeah, okay. Alright, so I shouldn't do it up here. But during the game, there's no real safe position to measure the paths from, unless we do, as you said, every player, but that seems kind of expensive. I like the idea of doing it from the spawn location. Or I could just do it from one of the players. Just pick one.
Yeah, like a random one.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
But if you're like in a cave or something, or like you get caught somewhere,
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe you could raycast down from the spawn.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay.
could you even just put the spawn on the ground and see what if it works then?
Well, that seems not too different from what I just tried, so presumably that's going to be fine.
Then wouldn't that fix the problem?
What do you mean?
As in, if you just move the spawn location to the
Oh,
ground.
yeah, the problem with that is it gets covered in terrain. The spawn location has to be constantly moving up to adapt to the
Right.
landscape.
But when you move it up, can you like keep it like close to the terrain, just above it, or like on it?
That's, well, at the moment I'm just making it higher than the highest piece of terrain. I'm not trying to be clever. I could raycast down from it and try and make sure it just stays above things that are directly underneath it. Yeah, I don't know. Raycasting down
Okay.
is reasonable. For the moment, let's just make it from the MetaUni hub thing, which tends to stay above the ground for a long time. And then I'll worry about a more permanent solution later.
Yeah, my guess is it's about the drop for some reason.
Yeah, that sort of makes sense. Okay. Well, if I just do dot part, that'll do. Okay. Seems, I'm not sure if it's a problem whether it's inside the part or not.
Dot position.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. No. Wow. Okay. So maybe that was the problem in the first place.
Where are you going to from? Are you going from the teleport thing to what part of the spire?
Just the thing at the bottom. P call failed. I did the same thing again, did I? Yeah.
So maybe it can't. Maybe the problem is with the position on the spire.
No, that was working before, so I think that part's fine. Yeah, this is okay. It's actually okay to drop. It can't be actually inside the spawn location. I have to offset it slightly.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, so let's run this a few times. Well, let me see if there's anything particularly insane here I want to change. Okay, num tries 20. Guess it's okay to try again. Seems okay. We can try a few more times. It's not very often we're doing this. There's only 150 spires, so maybe picking them randomly is kind of silly, but okay. Alright, doesn't seem... Okay, let's try it out when it gets a bit more complicated. Okay, any thoughts about the correct timeout and delay between hunts?
I mean, I think
I
it's fun. Billy, you go.
I was just gonna say, I think the user should trigger a hunt, like just some chat command to like start a new hunt whenever they want.
Boy, seems... I think it's better if you don't have control over it, it's just something that happens while you're in here. Maybe you have to wait, or are you so impatient you need to start one straight away, or you want the ability to control the interval between them.
I just thought, because you were talking about like some people want to just explore the world, and then some people might want to choose to do a hunt. I just thought it would be sensible to let them activate it whenever they want.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now I'm a bit worried that if you fail to find a spire, it might still do the rest of start hunt. Okay, but what happens? It doesn't even try again later, right? Because this is not... it should call end. Well, I don't want to call end hunt exactly. I do want it to try again in a bit. Not just no more hunts. Yeah, maybe there should be a way to opt out of having this thing show up all the time as well, though. I guess that's sort of what you mean, Billy.
Yeah, so maybe like you still keep the automatic feature to it, but like you can just start the hunt cycle manually.
I guess if you turn on the cinematic camera, that UI element should become invisible anyway. So maybe it's not such a big deal. Why is there... Oh, failed to find accessible spire for the hunt. Okay. That seems poor. I wonder if the agent radius is useful here. That's minimum separation from obstacles. Maybe I should reduce that. Yeah, I think that's too high. Yeah, I take your point, Billy. I guess we'll think a bit more about the finer points of this. But as long as the pathfinding works, I think I'll just push this version and maybe we can give it a go.
Cool.
Should remember to slow down the... Okay. I don't know. Guess I should test out what happens if the timeout goes.
So what happens when any of those trees fall? I mean, those spires fall.
They're all prevented from falling until...
Ah.
Oh, that's something that happened while you were away, I think. Huh. I don't know. Just touch them all. Yes. Okay. I'll give it one more chance. It's going to be a particularly tough time at the beginning because they tend to be very crowded. Later they're usually more spread out. You were going to say something earlier, Ethan, and Billy and you spoke at the same time. What was that?
Oh, I was going to say you could have the hunts be continuous, like no intermission, but I think what you said is a fair point of like, it should just kind of happen, sort of like an organic thing.
Yeah. P-call failed. Okay. Oh. Wait. How can Spire be nil? That doesn't make any sense to me. Oh. Some things might have been destroyed between here and here if you tried a few times, I guess. I don't know how the asynchronous execution works, if indeed anything here is being executed asynchronously. I don't understand how either of those can be nil. The P-call failed, but what's that got to do with anything? Oh, well, it failed, but then it found an accessible spire. Okay. seems cowardly. This has to be okay. That's weird. Alright. I think let's just try it. Not worry about that. Okay, are you ready? Whoever's left there. Let's give it a try. Is anybody else coming? Or you all left?
I'm coming.
Okay. Oh, this one may not have any fruit. Okay, this was a lame starting tree. Okay. All right. This is a hard one. Yeah, I guess it makes sense to stand near one of these. Keep an eye on the server log. Yeah, that's right. Just jam your face into one and then hope it's this tree.
When is the next hunt supposed to trigger?
It's supposed to be in 1 minute. Oh, it says found an accessible spire, but we didn't get... Oh, somebody won it already. Okay. They heard the sound, and so it appeared and disappeared instantly. so somebody successfully stood next to the spire.
Is that the first one? Or...
No, there's 2 points up there. Look, Jaipak got the second one, so he must have been standing right next to the spire that got chosen. That's pretty amusing. Okay, so that... The weight is excruciating. Okay, there we go. Oh, what? Really? That's ridiculous. How is that possible?
It was just one of these trees that I was touching.
How can that happen twice in a row? Okay.
Look, the numbers don't lie.
Well, you don't even know if it was a bug. You didn't check
I want it fair and square.
you didn't check the view screen. That wasn't real.
So if you get fenced in, you have the reset, right?
Yeah, that's the only way out of it.
Oh, I fell through the bottom.
Oh yeah. The terrain, because it's the way it's constructed, it's quite easy if you jam yourself into a corner, or even if you're just unlucky and walking over things, that you fall straight through the ground.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. It's my turn.
No.
It's my turn this time. So.
Oh no, I'm getting drowned in terrain. Oh, I'm out.
Failed to find an accessible spot. Okay. Yeah, maybe I should not sample 50 times, but just loop through all the spires even. There's at most 150 of them. So I should... what? Maybe there's not a built-in way of randomizing a list, right?
What are you doing 50 times?
I'm just sampling randomly from the list of spires to find, and then seeing if it's accessible. But what I should really do is loop through them in a random order. It gave me the same error again. Okay, I'm going to do that. Then we'll try again. And if that doesn't work, we'll just leave it at that. Okay, how am I going to loop through an array in a random order? I should...
You can the array somehow.
You can what, sorry?
You can shuffle it.
There's a shuffle command?
There probably isn't, but we can figure it out.
Yeah, of course I can make one, but... yeah. Fisher Yates shuffle. Let's see. I don't know if that is legit, but I'll just copy the code and run it.
I've got something else for you to show. Yeah, I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, you found the same. Okay.
Well, not the exact same.
Okay, so spires. So I should just be able to do shuffle this, right? Okay, and then I can just yeah, okay.
Manual forward.
Well, I could just look through all of them and then break if I is... Should I look through all of them? Yeah, why not? There's only 150. that's a good idea. Okay, fine. Okay, so still want a 6.
You can just put all the rest of the code under that success block.
Yeah. This will do. Alright. What? Well, this thing doesn't actually return anything. Okay. That's what I get for just pasting code. Return T.
Oh no, you don't need to return. Just do local spires equals the result of collection service, and then just call shuffle on spires.
Oh, I see. Okay. I'm not used to doing things like that. Right.
Because yeah, it's just in place. It's not like a
Yeah.
function.
That's real imperative programming, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. Why did it? Oh, that's something stupid I did. Found an accessible spire. Success equals true. Failed. What? What if success then? Oh, it's 2 successes. That's stupid. There's not another found spire somewhere in there. Now I'm paranoid. Yeah, well.
Found spire event.
I did call something else found spire, but.
But window looks like God's developer console logs. Scheduling flood out for 160 minutes.
What are you talking about?
Like I'm just imagining that like this is God's developer console like, running the world.
Right. That's
All right, guys. Time for me to go eat.
See you, Kenneth. Thanks for playing.
See you next week. Bye.
See ya. Okay, for this test, I think I'm just going to put a very short gap in between. There's no point dragging it out. Okay. Yeah, alright. What are these? Oh.
Why did it say found accessible spire twice?
Oh, because there was 2 rounds.
Oh,
Alright, let's try again.
wait, I'm still in the old one. I'm just leaving.
Ah. No mercy this time. What? Of course. Damn. Get away.
Was that from the like second round of it, or did that like?
Why does it keep choosing this one?
I don't know. I saw the thing blink for a second. All right, now I can see it.
Yeah, it's another one now, I think.
I didn't hear the sound. Did you?
Yeah, I did. I got it.
All right, that's fine.
What?
You already have 5 points. What?
You suck.
All right. I need to get this UI open.
It's the same one. That shuffle is a bit suspect.
Well, I go on again somehow.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. What? Pink. Oh, here's a pink one. Yes. Whoa. Haha. This is more like it. Oh, what?
I was just standing there.
What? Really? That looks like a tall green one. Oh, I don't know. Maybe this one. No. Oh, it's that. Yeah, it's got to be that one over there. Yes. You're having trouble with that terrain there. Looks like it failed.
That's pretty bright.
P calls keep failing. Yeah. Okay. Still some problem. Maybe it's timing out once it gets more complicated. Still, I think we'll call that success and end here. Thanks,
Cool.
Billy.
Oh,
Thanks, everyone. I'll catch you later.
Thanks.